it was at that time I had recruiters reaching out to me, and I actually progressed in my career faster than ever. I actually doubled my income, like got a better title, and worked less.
Thank you guys for joining us on another episode of Daddy Issues. Today, I'm going to have our guest introduce himself and tell us a little bit about his story.
Appreciate you doing this, Dan. So good that you're able to share these stories with other dads. Like, a lot of times we think we're going through it alone, and there's just so many common things that we all face.
Yeah, that's so true. In the very beginning, when I first started it, I didn't realize how many dads were going through it until I like joined one of those Facebook groups. But and then I was blown away. You have so many dads going through something like this, but they don't really reach out. They don't really know.
Yeah. So yeah, appreciate having the stage and giving me some opportunity to talk here. But yeah, I was just gonna share my experience, and I think it's like, I was just saying we're all in it together. But I think I may have a pretty unique perspective that a lot of men don't get. Basically, like surrounded by women, and
Mm.
uh, and I've one of my I'm not really religious, but I'm definitely spiritual. Like praying to God was the huge turning point in my life, which I'll like come back to that story. But then what was really wild is there's been a lot of like goddesses have come into my life, and not just like, it's like it started with like a Kundalini awakening, which is just like crazy energetic power that started, activating my body and like changed kind of how I think and perceive the world. And then I've been in communities too with a lot of women around me too. So it's a different approach. And even recently, like one thing that I really enjoy and I've been doing a lot is being representing the masculine in different ceremonies. So like I did this a father healing ceremony for a woman on Monday, which like last Monday, and I would have never thought that that would be something that I'd be doing. What, like
Yeah.
like a father healing. I never thought I'd do ceremonies. Like I didn't think that I would be like embodying the father energy for this woman, and then like having her release energy that she had been taken on from her father, and having these like really profound impacts. And so it's like my
But you
lot.
got into all that through what you were going through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's been, yeah, the path. I'll go like, yeah, let me go back to that. So it's like back in 2020, it was February 2020, and I was like, I thought life was perfect because I had like multiple houses, a wife, two kids, making six figures, and one day I was riding my electric bike home, and this car comes and hits me, just like smashes into me. I fall, like break their windshield, my arm, and just like bam, hit the ground, and I black out, and like I'm pretty sure I died because I came
Wow.
back, and I don't know how long I was out, but I came back, and like life has been like so different ever since then. But like, man, when I came back, it was just like the greatest pain of my life. My shoulder, this bone here, was actually over like above my heart. It was like between the skin and my chest. It was like gnarly, and
Damn.
and so I was in the hospital. Like, man, I couldn't really breathe at all. Like my breath was gone, and just so much pain. And like it eventually got went back home after a couple of days, and it was like 2 weeks later that my wife at the time sat at the end of the bed, and she was like, "I don't trust you," and that just like
But said
knife
that just out of nowhere?
out of nowhere. I thought to me it seemed out of nowhere. Like
Right,
hindsight,
right.
I can kind of see it now, and like I know where she's coming from now. But like we were doing therapy, like I was making all the money. I thought things were getting better. I was
Yeah.
like we were arguing a little bit, but it's like I thought everything was good because everything was going according to how society says, right? Like we got all
Yeah.
these, we were doing well. We got houses, we got security, everything's fine. But she didn't trust me, and to be honest, like what that was, I'll just jump into it now because so much of my healing journey, and I think a lot of men out there, is like identifying these beliefs that are formed in childhood. And for me, I was born to a mother who had so much trauma. Like, she was the youngest of 13 kids, and
Oh,
my
wow.
grandparents both landed on the beaches of Normandy a couple days after D-Day. So my grandparents, like, they saw the most awful carnage in World
Yeah.
War II, and then passed that on to their kids, right? And so, me as a baby, am just feeling everything that my mom feels, right?
Yeah.
And so when I was born, experienced some abuse. She would hit me, yell at me. She didn't do it a whole lot, but there were those times where that rage that came through from grandparents, from how bad her life was, malnourished as a kid, like living in upstate New York with like no heat in the winter, just like terrible. And so that came out as abuse for me. And so I learned to not trust women. And so I went through
Mm.
my whole life and looking back, like I had several jobs where I got fired by women and didn't know why I got fired. But it's because I have this belief, had it, of I don't trust women at all. And so women would feel that and we'd never actually be on the same page, which is
Yeah.
like that's what's so wild to me now is like that now I'm surrounded by women and they trust me and that I actually like help them. It's like it's such a 180-degree turn from what life was before.
But it seems like it was almost like subconscious. You didn't even know the things you might have been saying or doing, but now you're aware of it, so it's completely different.
I had no idea. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which I think a lot myself. I don't know if I can speak for a lot of men, but growing up, like again, when I was hit by that car, I thought things were right, were fine, but I had all these addictions, right? Like I was depressed, I was taking medication, I had anxiety, like addicted to pot, porn, video games, alcohol, and all these things are often just like part of growing up, right? Like played video games as a young kid and just kept that going, and it ended up being these addictions that I couldn't stop and I couldn't feel good without them, and I was on this like treadmill of just trying to feel better because I was avoiding all the shit that I actually couldn't feel.
Hey guys, just want to let you know, head on over to patreon.com under Daddy Issues the Truth to help support the podcast and support what we're doing. That's patreon.com under Daddy Issues the Truth. You get a little bit more content over there, stuff that we don't post anywhere else. So if you guys are about it and you want to help support, patreon.com, Daddy Issues the Truth. Thanks, guys.
So yeah, I mean, so after she told me that, she's like, I don't trust you, and then that like really pissed me off, and that was the biggest change after I came back, like to this earth after getting hit by that car, is all of my senses like got turned up. So like I had like ringing in my ears, I could like sense electricity around me, and I was suddenly feeling all these emotions that I had kept suppressed for so long, and I got angry and I yelled. I raised my voice and like because I couldn't keep it in. Like my life was just so different, and I was so angry that I yelled and caused damage. And I was speaking my truth, but I was
Yeah.
speaking my truth without compassion. So like truth without compassion is abuse. And so like that was we eventually separated, and at first I was like, yes, I don't have to deal with her anymore. And like I had a lot of fun dating around for a little bit, and then it got to be like, okay, this isn't going anywhere. It's not really like healthy because I still had all these addictions.
Yeah.
And I eventually I stopped taking medication, and like really crashed after that. And that's when I started having suicidal ideation, morbid curiosity, like not wanting to live. And it
Wow.
was really like, I believe that even if we kill ourselves, we just come right back. So I'm like, I don't want to repeat all this. in the state that I was in. I didn't want to be like feeling that bad and not learn this lesson and have to repeat that. But the thing that really kept me going was my kids. It's
Yeah.
like the thought of them growing up without a dad was like what kept me here. And it was at that lowest point I was just like, man, so much inflammation, like just intense pain, like I couldn't my thoughts, like I couldn't they were just like going like I didn't have control over anything. And that was the moment that I prayed, and I was just like, dear God, please help me to feel good again, and I'll do whatever, like I commit my life to you. And that was the turning point. And it was after that that that's when I started like found out about coaching. So I got a coach that I've had for a few years now, and started learning all this stuff about healing, about like, personal development. But what it came down to for me was emotions. Like it all came down to this of like I learned some ways like emotional release techniques, and like gave myself the permission to feel because I was afraid of anger. I didn't know how to cry, and when I did that, and then also did like inner child work, so going back to these other parts of myself and like being with it and feeling it, I was able to stop all those addictions. Like
Wow.
I didn't need that shit anymore because addictions are just
Yeah.
distractions, right? And so like I haven't used porn for like it's been over a year, you know. Sometimes I'll smoke weed occasionally, and it's like not even close to how it used to be. Now it's like super psychedelic for me. Like whoa. Rarely drink, but the thing is like, yeah, all those addictions were ways of me avoiding feeling bad. And once I like
Yeah.
learned just how to feel bad, I didn't like, okay, I'd lost like 45 pounds over the last 3 years, and that weight just kind of like started falling off. Like I didn't really have to do all that much differently. And sure, I've changed my diet and that sort of thing, but stopping the alcohol was a huge one. But also
And
like,
this, and you had a coach during all of this. Like, I, I would think having a coach, having that person in your ear, kind of helping you, coaching you
yeah,
to do better, is kind of what
dude,
gets you along.
it was everything. I mean,
Yeah.
it was like my life depended on it because it did, and it was absolutely the importance of having a coach, of having a mentor, like having somebody. Because I didn't like my job at all. I wasn't really showing up for that. It was hard for me to do pretty much anything, but I could go to this weekly or biweekly coaching and and learn something that would like instantly help me.
Yeah.
You know, and as another father, um and I even with him, like I still don't share like just how much I was at, like that, like with men we don't often share how bad it is, right?
Right.
Like I didn't go to this coach and be like, I'm feeling like I don't want to live anymore, and I'm like I have all these addictions. No, I just signed up for a program because I wanted to get better,
Yeah.
and I still kept all that shit hidden. So it's like, how often do we actually know how much a brother's hurting inside?
Right.
I just encourage men to share that with people because it's that vulnerability. I'm into men's work a lot. I've lead a men's group for the last year and a half, and it's like the importance of having like a coach or especially like a group of brothers to be able to go and talk to is just like, I mean, I think we all need that desperately.
Oh, yeah. The
Yeah,
importance
yeah,
of that is when we're going through this, like through a breakup or through a divorce or whatever, and then custody with kids. Men, just like earlier, we don't share our feelings. We kind of stay bottled up inside. It's like if you don't have someone to talk to or someone who's gone through this before. That's why those Facebook groups I think are like so important because you
yeah.
get the people who can give you advice for all of that.
Yeah, we need each other, and I think we're okay. This is like a topic, right? Like women want men to be more emotional, but a lot of people, and I see it in these groups that are like, well, but if I share my emotions, then they get scared, or shit doesn't work out. And it's because men haven't, we don't have as much practice. We don't have as much practice, so we don't have as much skill. And so our emotions tend to just like bottle up, bottle up, bottle up, and then blow up. And so like the techniques that I share that I learned are ways of like letting that pressure valve go, you know?
Mm.
Like most of us have a whole lifetime of pressure built up. And so you know, I hear from men often of like, I don't want to be angry because I'm afraid I might not come back from it. I might like stay that way. So okay, so emotions were like a key thing, and like I connect that to like a Kundalini awakening. So just like shout out, I think I don't know how common it is. I think it's becoming more common, but like Kundalini is this like life force energy, and it can like activate. For me, it was like at a car wreck. Um, and you know, I had practiced yoga for like 18 years before that, so I kind of prepared myself a little bit. But it's sort of like on the yogic path. There's something called Kundalini yoga, and that can like accelerate it as well. So it's like I teach Kundalini yoga now because this energy like came and changed my life so much that I wanted to like learn the practices to actually like harness it. Um, and so I mean it comes out as ways like I had all these symptoms, and like I'm gonna share it just in case people are going through something similar, because it's like it's pretty wild. Where it was like I would have hot flashes and cold flashes, like my body temperature would just change real dramatically. There's this thing called kriyas, which are just like random spasms. Like I'd just be laying there and just like spasm. There's no fever or anything. If you go to the hospital, they'd just be like, well, whatever. Um, there's also like, for me, there was a psychosis. So there was a point. It was a little bit after the prayer. So after the lowest point, there was a day that I woke up and just kind of went about my day as normal. And in the afternoon, I had this thought of like, I'd really like to want something right now. And it was the first thought that I had all day. And you know how we usually have that you know, usually there's thoughts going, and
Yeah.
usually there's this part that's kind of like, what do I do next, you know? Or like, do I brush my teeth or turn off the light? You know, like these sort of like, what are the, you know, there's like that was not there for like an extended period of time,
Wow.
where I was just in this like no thought. Um and it was really cool because my mind was going through the divorce stuff, and like I had lost my job and I was in all this pain, and I was trying to like figure my way out, like constant mental stuff. And so to have that peace was really really nice. But it took and it actually stayed like that for a while. um my mind still is different than it was, you know, before. um and the thing is, even with the thoughts, so I got to this point where the thoughts were no longer the thing bothering me, but I still felt like shit.
Mm.
And that's what pointed me to working on all of the emotions, because I was getting me into my body and into my feeling state where I felt terrible, but there wasn't any, it didn't seem like there was anything that I was thinking, and there was
Yeah.
no way that I could think my way out of it. I had to, you know, move that energy basically.
So did you change up your whole career and everything? Kind of when you lost your job, I guess you might have had to, but it seems
You
like
know,
you're on like a different, way different path than
I
you would have been.
I am, but that's the weird thing about it. So, okay, so like I thought when after my mind did that, I was like, I don't know if I'll ever be able to do, because I've been doing project management in tech for like 13 years.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to plan anything, because it was actually hard for me to even like eat. Like I felt like I was a baby and relearning everything. And for a couple of months, like all I did was walk around town, and I'd like walk to the pool and like float on my back to try to like not feel bad, because I
Yeah.
felt so bad, but there was no reason for it that I could come up with. I was just trying to escape it and feel weightless. But anyway, um, it was at that time I had recruiters reaching out to me, and I actually progressed in my career faster than ever. I actually doubled my income,
Oh wow.
like got a better title, and and worked less.
That's that's the dream for everything right there.
Right? It made no sense. It made no
Yeah.
sense at all. It wasn't logical, but it was like I had faith, right? Like I was like, okay, I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do as best as I can. And it was really hard. It was hard getting used to that of like giving myself permission to take the rest that I needed, that my body needed for that period of time. It was hard because I was so used to working like 40 plus hours a week.
Yeah.
And constantly in that thinking mode, right? And so what I was learning over that period, which was really like summer 3 years ago, was the most intense of all of this. Um, I was learning just to be. I was learning to feel and to be, which
Yeah.
is like
Did I freeze again?
no, you're good.
Oh, okay.
Which is like the feminine, right? So it was like this is what I'm talking about. That which is weird with my life is after that wreck, it was like a rise of the feminine energy for myself, which I
Mm.
never experienced before. It was about being in the body, going into the emotions. I lost the logic for a long time, even, which was wild because I was so logical before. Um, and one day I had this thought. I was like, I really want to get into men's work because I was doing the coaching thing and that was helping out. And I was like, I want to start a men's group. And then this woman here in town that runs a shamanic medicine community here in town. She reaches out to me, leaves me a message, and is like, "Hey, do you want to come help restart a men's group for us?"
She just randomly messaged you and said that?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
That's
So
pretty crazy.
it was. That's what I'm saying. It's like, so I've been on this path. It's like one of those things, and I'm sure people out there experience it, where like if you have faith and you're doing the right things, it just kind of feels like it's just like happening, where life is happening. There's some things that if I try to do, it takes a whole lot of effort, and it's like, am I meant to be doing that? Sometimes it's good to have that effort, but some of these things that have been happening in my life, like all the job promotions and doubling money and starting a men's group, and like recently, uh, I pick up this book, The Law of Attraction, 9 months ago. I was like, okay, this is like cool stuff. And then I was dating this woman, and she invites me to go on this cruise. That the author of this book's going to be there, and it's Abraham Hicks, which is she's pretty famous in terms of being. She's probably the most famous person that does channeling. So she's connected to like this group of beings and channels, and gives advice for people. But anyway, so I go on this cruise, and then I end up going up on stage to meet Abraham. So it's like in the span of only like 6 months, I find out about this person and then end up on the cruise. And like I've met, it was similar like that with Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
So he was in my field, and I met him recently. Um, so life has been this really interesting thing of like sometimes I'll think of things and they just happen like automatically. Other things I have to work really hard at, and I haven't figured out like the difference there yet.
Right. Like, why can't it always come easy? Yeah. That's wild, man. Wow. And that's, I mean, it's all just like healing and I don't even know. I don't even know how like you would find half
Yeah.
that stuff.
Right. Yeah. It all kind of like it all kind of like can't showed up, and then it's just paying attention to it. But yeah, so like where I'm at now is I still do still some things for women. I still do like this father healing ceremony is like pretty new. But what I really like to do is help men. And
Yeah.
what I work on most is like emotionality. So like energetic and emotional mastery. So basically like tapping into that life force, but also being able to like attune to women. Like there's this one guy, he he's like he's a genius. He's really good at helping people break limiting beliefs. he'll probably make $1 million next year from his business, and it's only been around for a couple of years. So he's really good at limiting beliefs, but he was getting triggered with his woman because she would like get angry, and it would fire up that part of him that couldn't be around women that were angry. And so I worked with him, and now he's able to be like present and be assertive, like not just like cower. And his partner is like, you show up differently now. Like
Yeah.
now they have this better relationship. And so like that's the stuff I like to work on. Like helping men in touch with their emotions, but it often is like, I want to stop, maybe someone wants to stop porn, and that could actually be an emotional need that's happening. And so if you can go into your emotions, you can actually kind of like carve out the stuff that causes these behaviors and causes the addictions. um, so I think that most disease is caused by emotions, and so that's where I focus there, and because it changed my life so much. um, and that's the stuff that I like helping men out with.
Where can they find you? Like if
Yeah.
shout out what you do or how they can find you.
Yeah. I mean, I think right now the easiest place is on Facebook. Like, I don't have a website set up yet. So Jake Trigg, Trigg. If you look me up on Facebook, send me a message there. Um, yeah, that's the easiest thing. I'm still working on getting my program running. I'm going to have a master class here soon. I've done a handful of master classes, but I'm just, starting to get really good at this one, like 6 week program that I have for called Triggered. So you can get in and like just in 6 weeks go. If I helped this one guy, he was getting triggered all the time and angry, and it was messing up his business and also broke up his relationship. And he had triggers at like a level 7, like almost all the time. And
Yeah.
within just a few weeks, we brought that down to a 3. And then he was able to like salvage this relationship with the woman that he loves, and also like stop getting pissed off at people in his business.
Dude, maybe you were meant to do this because it fits your last name too.
I know, right? Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Triggered by Jake Trigg.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
No, that's really cool. It's like because you're going so much deeper than just trying to fix something or you know what I mean. Like you have to actually dive into your emotions, I guess, and try to figure it out.
yeah. I know. I haven't. I'm still working on like the best way to explain it, because for me, it's such a felt sense, and I also can feel other people's emotions, and that's the thing. I think anybody can learn this. Like men, if we can be present and like allow our women's emotions, their system relaxes, and it's like it stops so many fights. Like they're so here for that. Yeah. No, I appreciate it so much. I mean, I'm still like practicing sharing all this stuff, It's so new, and so I like really appreciate the opportunity. So thank you.
Yo, I don't want to keep hitting you guys with it, but please come support over on patreon.com under Daddy Issues the Truth. It would mean a lot. We really put a lot of work into this podcast. So if you guys have time and you guys like the content that you're getting, it would be a huge help if you guys could support us over on patreon.com under Daddy Issues the Truth. All right. Thank you guys.
Me down. You can hold me down. You can hold me down. You can hold me down.